multitasking, but you guys know that's what we do in Wealthy You. We don't stop. We don't stop. We keep it moving. Okay. So let me go back to some of these takeaways. And by the way, let me just introduce who I am. For those of you who are watching me, who are on Zoom with me, or who are watching me live on Facebook or on YouTube, I'm Deborah Owens, also known as America's Wealth Coach. I'm founder and CEO of Wealthy You, where we help you take ownership of your financial success so you can achieve the level of financial success you desire and deserve, and you become one of the million with a million. That is our mission. So welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Wealthy You Wind Down Wednesday. And so gotta give you guys a toast. Now I'm drinking a cab, but this is a new Cabernet Sauvignon. Testing, what is this? Cult. It is a Napa Valley wine, I'm assuming. That's the only thing I like to drink, but let me give all of you, if you'd like to have your adult beverage and have a toast, have a sip with me, let me toast all of you and welcome you to Wealthy You Wind Down. So let me just set the stage for those of us who are just for those of you who are just joining us. We have just came off of a power-packed masterclass on Saturday. And from there, we had a VIP bonus training session where we had some amazing ambassadors and some of our members weigh in on their experience in Wealthy You. And then last night, those people who are and we also opened up the door to our next Wealthy You Society cohort. And so if you're interested in learning more about our programs, we'll put Linktree on all of our comment pages, but you can learn more about the Wealthy You Society. And please, if someone on the team can put the link in the chat as well, and just learn how you can become one of those with a million. And one of the whole point of Wealthy You really is to give you access to the knowledge that most of us have not had the access to, because the knowledge that you gain in Wealthy You is typically for ultra wealthy families inherited. They either have a private banker who helps them to accelerate their financial growth, gives them access to high net worth strategies that basically most of us are never exposed to. So in Wealthy You, you're really learning how to accelerate your financial growth. And during the Become One of a Million with a Million Masterclass, we had several of our interviews from our new show that airs on the Black Star Network, interviews of people who've been through the Wealthy You programs and their amazing financial transformation. So in the chat, I'm asking those folks who were at that masterclass, at the VIP bonus training, to share their takeaways. If I could just see that chat as well, so that we can get a sense of what you came away from saying you're going to act on. So let me go back to Dennis says, take charge of my investments and increase the amount I invest. That's good, Dennis, because the point that was the recurring thing, right? Like if you saw those interviews and all of these women that have made it to the top 10% of African American wealth, doubled their investments, the amount of their investments in a couple of years. Certainly, our ambassadors shared. Some of them have doubled what it took them, 20 years on a job to accumulate, they've doubled that. And so oftentimes we're wondering, how, we're looking around and we're wondering how people have gotten further ahead, or, most recently I've had some conversations with people, and it's like, you should be further ahead. You should be further ahead, but you're not quite sure why. And one of the points that I made in our strategic advisory last night, and strategic advisories, let me just give the background. Every month, the members in WealthyU have an opportunity to have me actually look at their portfolios, their strategies, what they're trying to accomplish. And I get to weigh in to identify what their unique investment opportunity levers, and unique investment opportunity levers are different for everyone, depending upon what you do have access to, right? And so one of the points that I made in strategic advisory is that, let me really set the stage by, I'm going to take a quote from Warren Buffett. And the statement that he made was so profound, but if we think about it, it's exactly the approach that all of the women who were interviewed during that masterclass, those interviews from our Get Wealthy program that we profiled in our masterclass. Here's the deal, and it's simple. It's that wealth is created through concentration and preserved through diversification. Okay? I want you to write that down. This is Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest men, the most successful investors on the planet. And I really thought about what that meant on a surface level. But if you think about all of the interviews, that's exactly what happened, right? How people were able to accelerate their financial success was concentration, right? I mean, think about, so we started, I'm just going to do a recap for those of you who may just be listening and may not have been at the masterclass. We started out with Belinda's story. And Belinda talked about, if you recall, she talked about several things, but she said, I'm going to repeat the quote, right? Wealth is created through concentration. If we could, somebody could put this in the chat, and preserved through diversification. Right? Now think about concentration. Think about each of those interviews. First, they had to make a mindset shift, right? And make their financial future a priority. If you look at Belinda, if you look at Leah, if you look at Dia, if you look at Tamika, right? All of them, first starting with Belinda, really focused on first shifting from a saver to an investor, overcoming her fear. And it's when she came her fear, and thank you for the person that talked about the fact that their takeaway, once she got over her fear and learned how to become an investor and take risks, that's when everything changed, right? But then what else did she say? She said, yeah, I review my budget. I do a kind of Monte Carlo assessment. I review my portfolio. She said, first it was monthly, and then it went to quarterly. What is that? Concentration, right? Okay, number one. Two, Leah came back. What did she say? She said, I earned a lot of money, but I wasn't putting in any of it to work. And when I finally, I found $700 a month I was wasting, then I paid off debt, then that gave me that extra $2,500 a month. Then I started investing, and then I looked at my investments that I was in those target funds. I expanded. So that, my friends, is concentration, right? So first you gotta focus and on what you already have, right? Then you've got to learn how to, what was the next thing Belinda said? Yeah, my investments weren't doing that well. And I was able to analyze and research my investments. And then I was able to talk to my financial advisor. And I was able to, when he didn't do what I liked, I was able to analyze and research my funds and increase the performance on those funds. What is that? In the chat, what is it? Concentration, right? Listen, all of those women that were interviewed, and by the way, if you want to look at the interviews in their entirety and really get some insight into the methodology and the strategy and the system that we use in WealthyU to get those results, I want to encourage you to go look at, just download the Black Star Network app, or by the way, put my Linktree link on the different platforms. So if people want to actually hear these in their own the interviews in their own voice, I just want you guys to get this, right? Like I think in strategic advisory last night, I didn't want to take people to task, but here's what I want you to understand. We have created a roadmap for you. You have a system, mindset, strategy, and execution that if you concentrate and do the steps, right, and apply the concepts to your situation and go deep and mastery, that's the outcome. The outcome is that your existing investments, the return on those accelerate, and then you have a mindset shift and you begin to find other opportunities through which you can put more in. It's exactly what Dennis said, right? I need to take control of my investments, and then I need to put more in the chat. Just let me, so I want you to understand that is what Warren Buffett is saying. So once you concentrate and you have the framework and listen, the knowledge of how to do this is the most the most valuable asset of all. And yet what I see time and time again is so many people are searching and trying to seek information, and they're not, excuse me guys, I just realized something else, that if I'm not careful, I'm gonna run out of juice and you're not gonna be able to hear me. So hang on one second, I'll be right back. Okay, bear with me. Okay, I'm gonna have to go on the back of this monitor, but it's okay to make sure that you guys don't lose me. Okay, so in the chat, do you guys understand what I'm saying? I want to hear your response. Concentration. If you work the system, it will work. But you've got to focus. People are scattering over here, scattering over here. You hear somebody say this, you're chasing shiny objects. And quite frankly, that was me. in terms of on the business side. Like you're running over here, you think you can do this, and then you're hearing people say multiple streams of income. And then first, okay, first you gotta focus on whatever you focus on expands. Do you realize that? But if you don't have any focus, if there is no concentration, then that is why you're not getting ahead. Remember, I talked about, if you haven't seen the mindset, strategy, and execution in and by the way, the replay of the Be One of a Million with a Million masterclass, for those of you who bought the replay is there. For those of you who are in the WealthyU Society or in the Legacy Wealth Accelerator, you need to go back and do a refresher. Because the thing you have to understand is that the system, mindset, strategy, and execution works like a flywheel, right? First thing, and in fact, let me just share with you guys. So today I was interviewed by Renita Young of Bloomberg. How many of you saw that interview? If you didn't, I know that Deprina, our social media manager, put it in the WealthyU Community. And by the way, if you're listening to me and you're not a part of the WealthyU Community, you need to join the WealthyU Community on Facebook, right? Now, one of the first things she asked me, she said, well, I want to know, what do the ultra wealthy know that most people don't? And you know what I told her? I said, it's exactly what they have, a wealth mindset. They've been given a different roadmap. They have a different blueprint, and it gets them to a different place, right? Okay? So that is the blueprint that I'm giving you. By the way, I'm excited because Cindy Antebellum is here tonight. And the reason I'm excited about her being here is because she is responsible. Let me go on gallery. See, I know Cindy didn't expect this, but Cindy is responsible. I don't know if I see her now, but anyhow, Cindy is responsible for me going into being hired at Merrill Lynch. Cindy was a good friend of my sister's, and my sister Caressa, who I'm on my way to it's her 70th birthday, and I'm going to see her in Detroit to celebrate her. Anyhow, Cindy said, oh, well, I know somebody at Merrill Lynch. I didn't know what a Merrill Lynch was. And I know the operations manager. I remember him too. His name was Dave. And he says, I could get you an interview. And so I went and interviewed him, and he said, well, all I've got is the job as the receptionist. And when I went into that Merrill Lynch office, I was so fascinated by it because I had never seen anything like it, right? And you hear people giving, quotes, stock quotes on the phone. People are calling and ringing. And she is responsible, basically. Cindy doesn't have her camera on, but she is responsible for me being here talking to you right now. And the reason why I want to bring that up, guys, the reason I want to bring that up is that that's what I discovered. So she was responsible for me getting that exposure, my first exposure to what the wealthy people know that we don't, right? And so Renita Young of Bloomberg asked me, well, what do the ultra wealthy know? Well, they have a different mindset, and they have the roadmap of wealth, and that roadmap of wealth was not what we were given. I mean, that's the point. My parents said, get a good education, get a good job, earn a good living, and you'd have the American dream, right? Tamiko, this was on IG. This was Renita's Instagram money story. And so I shared my money story. And I told her what I didn't realize was that the ultra wealthy had access to strategies that we never had, because in order to be a part of the ultra wealthy, you have to have $1 million of investable assets or more. I want you guys to get that. In fact, my interview, and you'll see this later tomorrow for Get Wealthy, is UBS recently did a study of multicultural, high net worth individuals. And when it came to African Americans, this was really, really interesting. Is that's where they saw the opportunity. African Americans had less equities or stocks in their portfolio. And so, whether it was Asians and Hispanics, they had much more. And so that's why their portfolios have grown more rapidly. Are you with me? So the point that I'm making, Cindy says, but I saw the opportunity. But let me tell you something, Cindy, somebody's got to give you access, right? Somebody's got to give you your opportunity. There's no way that I would have even been exposed to that. Just like most of you here haven't been exposed to it, right? And so the point I want to make on all of this is that you are basically trying to get to a destination with a map that's not going to get you to that destination. Is this making sense to you? Sometimes that's right. Brenda says, you don't even know what you don't know. But here's what is interesting. It was designed that way. That's why I want you guys to forgive yourself. It was designed that way. You spent tens of thousands of dollars on your formal education, and that formal education was not designed to help you to achieve financial success. It was designed for you to be an earner and not learn how to turn your income into wealth. In fact, in this study, right, one of the other things they do is a history of all the obstacles that have prevented folks from being able to, I don't think, people even realize, but like the Consumer Protection Act, where they couldn't discriminate and they couldn't make all these deny you credit. That was only in the 80s. Is that crazy? Just in the 1980s. And we act like this is something that has always existed. And so here's what I want you to understand. All right. And that's the point of WealthyU and us having these conversations. Is that even though you were given the wrong blueprint, what is proof is why I have the program Get Wealthy, and why we profile members in WealthyU is that with the right blueprint, you can achieve anything that you want. But here's what I want you to understand, and how I came away from the master class, and why doing the Get Wealthy interviews have had such a profound effect on me, is because it's more than money. It's more than money. I want you to reflect on the confidence of the interviews on WealthyU. What has become really, really apparent is that wealth is 360, right? It's not just the money. Here's what I want you to understand, why this knowledge is so important for you. is because there is nothing more. Well, let me ask you this. Has this ever happened to you where maybe you went to get a mortgage, right? And then you start thinking about your credit score. And then you start thinking about, oh, well, what kind of financing I'm going to get, right? Or have you ever walked to go buy a car? And you sat down and first thing they say, oh, well, let me run your credit, because they don't even want to go through the sales thing with you if you're not going to qualify, right? Or they got to jump through hoops. Are you with me? And so you're sitting there and you are thinking, oh, what's going to happen, right? Or there's so many instances, or you're in a business meeting and your boss is talking about the financial statements of the company and the whether or not you hit earnings, talked about the balance sheet, talked about how you missed targets, and you're sitting there and it's Greek to you. Have you ever called an investment company to inquire, or on your job, called about your 401k to find out, you want to have more options, you want to know more about what's going on, and they send you to some website? Has this ever happened to any of you? That's what I want to know. Has this ever happened to any of you, where you have been in a situation where you're not sure of the outcome and you're not sure how you're going to be treated? And in some cases, you can be making significant dollars and you're still unsure about whether or not you're going to have a positive outcome. Has this ever happened to any of you? Tanya says, yes, absolutely. House, car, business at work. That's right. Sheila says, yes. Carolyn Franklin says, yes. Dennis says, yes, you are on point. Cindy says, I've been let me just say, I can't, my husband handle it. Now, that's not a good thing. I've been so timid, I've let my husband handle it. That's right. Lisa says yes. Pamela says yes. So here's what I want you to understand. What Get Wealthy has done for me is not just recognize the impact that this information has in your on your personal balance sheet, right? But what it has in your overall status and level of confidence and competency, right? A Dr. Sharon Deans being able to basically be pursued to get an Amazon franchise, where in the past was denied. The ability to walk into a major deal, have people vying to give you a mortgage at the best rate, and if you don't like it, to be able to walk out the door. That's what that credit score being from a 574 to a 849 was, Leah's. And so that was the outcome of having the knowledge, right, to put your financial house in order so that it positions you to prosper. I want you to get this. And so some of you are, getting ready to get ready, afraid that it won't work for you somehow. In the chat, in the comments, you've seen all of these women, you've heard from all of our ambassadors. Can you sit there and tell me that if you join WealthyU, it wouldn't work for you? That's what I want to hear. Who believes this will not work for them? Brenda says, I am successfully handling bills, expenses, but most disappointed with financial advisors. That's right. And that's why you need this information. You need to take ownership, right? This knowledge gives you agency. As Tamika says, I walk into rooms differently. Isn't that what we all want and deserve? Isn't it? How would it feel to be able to decide, this is what I want, in this is the house I want, and I'm going to retire in, and have the ability to go and finance it today, have that asset pay for itself, so when you're ready to live in it, it's available? What would that feel like to you? Right? How would it feel like some of you are in jobs that you feel like that you're being underpaid? I'm hearing some of these numbers. I'm saying, you have got to be kidding me, right? So another aspect of WealthyU is providing with you with the tools and insight. You know, in our masterclass, you hear from experts like Stella Agdawu, who gets people into the C-suite. People going from making $100,000 to $200,000-$300,000, right? But if you don't know how to do that, right? Like, if you don't know how, somebody's got to give you access. Someone has to give you knowledge. That's the point I want to make to all of you. To the people who are in WealthyU, if you work, it will work it. If you work it, it will work, right? But you got to run the place. Rinse and repeat. You got to show up at skill building, analyze and research those mutual funds. You've got to optimize your existing investments. And then, and only then, do you go to the next level. And then you go to the next level and you start analyzing, researching stocks, and you start building your portfolio. And then you have a stopwatch list to fulfill. So are you guys getting this? And so one of the other things, though, we opened our WealthyU Society. The cart is closing on Friday for our next cohort. So for those, we still have openings for our fast track, that 90-second session with me. And one of the things I want to do is I want to applaud our newest members who are in the house. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I want to recognize, I hope they're here with us tonight. Rosie Tooley, welcome to the WealthyU Society. We're excited that you have joined. Gina Manley, welcome to the WealthyU Society. Make sure that you connect with your ambassador. Let's see, who else do we have? I don't want to miss anybody. Cynthia, well, so let's see. Danita Knox, welcome to the WealthyU Society. I just saw, hang on, because I think I'm going to forget someone. I don't want to do that. Let me just make sure I've got everything up to date on my little... Geraldine Peterson, welcome to the WealthyU Society. So here's what I'm going to tell all of you. That if it can happen for all of those women all of the people in Wealthy You, all of those interviews that happen on Saturday, it can happen for you. And all you have to do is commit. We know that we will literally change the financial trajectory of not only your life, but also your family, because now you are going to have the knowledge that can now be passed on from generation to generation. That thing, the most valuable knowledge that you should have had access to, you can now have right here through the WealthyU Society. But I can make the invitation, but you have to make the commitment. You can pay in full, or you can create a payment plan for yourself that will work for you. But what I know to be true, and this is the guarantee that I have for you, is that if you show up at your skill building sessions every week, if you show up for skill, well, not even every week, once a month, you're going to go to skill building. Then once a month, you're going to have strategic advisory with me. If you apply the principles, concepts of mindset, strategy, and execution, and allow us to help you identify your unique opportunity levers that you need to pull that can help you accelerate your financial growth, so that eventually, just like every one of our WealthyU ambassadors who were on the exactly where you are, and now they've mastered the concepts and they're supporting you on your journey, as well as facilitating our skill building sessions. Now, I've heard from many of you, and you said, I talked to some of you have been following me for 10 years. And all I want to say to you is, imagine where you would be if you just leaned in. There is no other program out here like the WealthyU Society that is not only going to give you accountability and support, but that gives you the rigorous knowledge that you need so that you can experience the financial success you desire and deserve. So that if you decide you want to refinance your home, you can call up and you can have people bidding for giving you the best rate. If you want to level up and buy your dream home or your second home, you can do that, right? Because you have already positioned yourself to prosper. But first, you've got to position yourself. You've got to put things in order so that when you walk in, you can walk into confidence and demand, right, what you deserve. And guess what? If you don't get it, you can go to the next institution or organization and get exactly what you want and be treated the way that you want. Financial ignorance is expensive. It costs you at every level. It costs you in the borrowing costs that many of you are. I talked to a woman, and she needed a new car. And because her credit wasn't in order, she financed her car at 12%. That is insane. Are you with me? Like, literally, that makes a $20,000 car, using the rule of 72. You finance that thing for 6 years. 12 goes into 72, 6 years. It's gonna make the cost of a $20,000 car be $40,000. Are you with me? And so what I want you to understand is you guys are stepping over dollars to get to pennies. Do you understand what that means? Like you cannot get to the next level with the same level of understanding and thinking that you have right now. Agree or disagree with me? Agree or disagree with me? Agree. That's right, Sharon, Tanya, Joyce. But listen, I'm preaching to the choir. I'm preaching to those of you who are already in WealthyU, and you know the impact that it's had in your lives and your family's lives. But if we're going to help 1 million women get to $1 million in net worth, you need to be one of them, right? So in the chat, let me know who attended the Be One of a Million masterclass, who attended our VIP bonus session. I'm going to go to the Facebook group and see who's hanging out there. Who attended the any of these sessions and is still on the fence about this working for them? If you're, I'd love to hear from you in the chat. Let me know so that I can address. And that's right, Alice. I am one of the million with the million. You better tell somebody. And now, not only you are one of the million with the million, but you're finally taking ownership and managing, right? And not just relying on someone. And here's the other point I want to make. Many of you would already be millionaires if you had access to the knowledge that you're going to get in WealthyU. So the point is that our WealthyU cohort, in order to get in this one, you need to sign up today. Yes, the card is open till Friday, but you need to sign up today so that you can attend my 90-minute fast track session, where we're going to lean in and help you get access to the exact levers that you need to pull. In that 90-minute session, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get access to your workbook. And your workbook, the first thing we're going to look at is your financial independence planner. And we're going to make a financial independence roadmap. You're going to know exactly what you need to do in order to get to that number that's going to be achieve financial independence for you. And that's different for everyone, right? You're going to come away from that 90-minute session on fire and in knowing exactly what sessions that you need to attend so that you can get further faster. You will walk out of that 90-minute session really having the exact insight you need for you. Because here's the other thing I want to say. Here's the other thing I want to say to you is that it's different for everyone, right? Like what you learn in WealthyU is how to take what you already have, okay, and make it work. That's the concentration, right? So the concentration and the focus needed to get you to the next level. In the chat, please put the link in the chat. And my satisfaction WealthyU guarantee is that if you attend the sessions, if you do the work, and in 12 months, if you are not further ahead than where you are today, if you did not get a return on your investment, we're going to extend that membership. But I already know. Listen, I already know. And I bet you every member in here will say the same thing that Dia said. She said, well, I thought it was difficult, but first I learned how to analyze and research my mutual funds because that's where my money was. And then I learned how to actually analyze and research stock. And I started investing, right? And I think she may have opened up a stash app because her kids. In fact, I interviewed her for an NBC interview in DC. And then she was able to show her kids, and the rest is history. The point I want to make to everyone within who can hear my voice is this, is that this is not magic. This is systems, right? We have created a system for you that will give you access to the knowledge that basically you just didn't have access to, because you would only get it if you had $1 million in assets or more. Would people even take the time to convey what you need to do to accelerate your financial growth? This is not about being average or doing average. This is about accelerating your financial growth so that you can not only experience the kind of appreciation in your portfolio overall, but also that you can experience the other benefits of that. And the other benefits of really having this knowledge is what you saw in all of those interviews. And all of those interviews, what you saw were people just like you who didn't come from wealth. All of those interviews, no one came from wealth, right? But once they got the information, once they started applying it, once they got the accountability and support, and then finally, here's what I want you to understand, what I had to finally recognize is that, yes, we have the system, a curriculum. We have set it up so that you have a workbook. You have milestones. You're going to have to learn how to identify what the numbers you need for financial independence. You're going to learn how to understand what your existing investments are and learn how to analyze, optimize, and maximize your existing investments. You're going to get exposed to building a portfolio, analyzing and researching stocks. You're going to open up your Stash App account and eventually a brokerage account, and you're going to have a full-fledged financial picture, a full-fledged portfolio. But the most important thing you're going to gain out of this is a financial foundation. You're going to gain agency. The world's going to open up to you now. When you turn on CNBC, you're going to actually know what those folks are talking about and actually know how to take advantage of it. You're no longer going to be fearful of the recession or, whatever financial calamity this media tells us is going to come next, because you're going to know what the ultra wealthy already know. And that is, it is during significant economic volatility that fortunes are made. You're not going to get fearful or run for the hills. In fact, you're going to be thinking about how you can invest more. And from that, what that is going to allow you to do is to stop worrying and start living. To know that you've already paid into your future. So like Belinda, in the event that something happens, COVID and illness, your parents get ill, that you've already have the financial wherewithal to weather any storm. Again, wealth is more than money. It's the ability to fully experience life. And unfortunately, so much of that ability to create that for ourselves has been hidden from us, and by intention, but no more. So I just want to invite all of you who have not joined WealthyU, the WealthyU Society. Time is running out. The time is now. But if you want to get into fast track, make sure that you click on that link, decide how you want to invest in your future, and we're going to be right here to support you. And so, with that, I bid you all a good night. Thanks so much for coming on Wealthy You Wind Down. I hope you've enjoyed everything that we've created for you. And just know we've got some great things ahead. We never stop in Wealthy You. We're just getting started. But my question to you is, will you be one of the million with a million? We're waiting on you, so we invite you to join. Hmm?